everyone, I just wanted to make a quick video on thesis statements. I'll be using the thesis statement DLA from Chiefy College as a structure for this presentation. So part of the exercises will require you to fill it in. So if you'd like to save your answers during my presentation, you can copy and paste them into the DLA afterwards and submit that for a DLA review later. But for now, let's get started. Thesis statements, where do I start? So in our DLA, we read that a unified thesis is what we want to be writing during our time in college or community college, university. Unified thesis should be broad enough to cover all the topics that you're going to be covering in your essay, but you want it to be specific enough to where the reader will know what you're going to be talking about. So here are some examples of what a categorical thesis is compared to a unified thesis. Categorical. Water pollution is caused by industrial, urban, and agricultural runoff. So you see how there's those three topics that are listed? That's a categorical thesis statement. A unified thesis statement will take all of those ideas and present a concept that introduces all of those ideas in one. And so the unified thesis would be toxic runoff is polluting California state beaches, thereby endangering the public as well as wildlife. Another example would be the next categorical thesis statement, work-related stress may cause migraines, ulcers, and heart attacks. Again, it's a listed thesis statement that breaks it up into categories. Again, we're going to try to turn that into a unified thesis. Work-related stress may cause health problems that negatively impact corporate productivity. So how you can see that this is a unified thesis statement, it's not listing migraines, ulcers, and heart attacks. It's replacing that with the word heart problems and making a bigger claim on how it negatively impacts corporate productivity, in the workspace. So those are two examples of how you can change categorical thesis into unified. Sorry. Okay, exercise 1. So right now you can copy and paste your answer, actually write this out and save it for when you're working on your DLA. That way you can both get understanding by this YouTube video on thesis statements and then also complete the DLA. So the categorical thesis that you need to turn into a unified thesis is parents influence their children's decision regarding spending, saving, and investing. So that's the categorical thesis. How are you going to unify that? How are you going to unify children's decisions regarding spending, saving, and investing, and how parents should influence their children's decisions? So go ahead and take this time to write out your unified thesis. And I'll be attaching a link to the DLA for this one at the end of the video. That way you can pull it up and go ahead and insert your answers in there. Okay, next is position. A thesis takes on an arguable position. Express your position as an argument, not a fact. A worthwhile argument has two sides. If a reasonable person might disagree your position, that position may be worth arguing. So always remember that your thesis statement needs to include a position. You got to pick one side. It can't be a thesis statement that's wishy-washy in between and we don't really know what it is you're arguing. We need to know what you're arguing. So a couple of examples are fact. Americans frequently eat at fast food restaurants. You see how it doesn't really pick a side, it's just a fact that people do that. However, argument, even though fast food chains are required by the FDA to list calories on their menus, the rate of obesity among Americans who frequently eat fast food has continued to increase, raising doubts on the effectiveness of government regulations to reverse the obesity epidemic. So now we have a position, right? Now this person is arguing, even though, these places list calories on their menus, obesity, is increasing at an alarming rate. That's their position, is obesity. So now we have some context. Another example, fact. In March 2016, combat jobs in the American military became open to women. So again, we don't really have a clear position. We just have a fact about the military and how it's open to women. And the argument here that changes it into a more arguable thesis, although combat jobs in the American military are now open to women, combat units that include women as well as men will not happen anytime soon because of resistance within the armed forces. Okay, so there we have our position that although they're open to women, combat units that include women are not happening anytime soon. Okay, so that's the argument. So you see how you can change a fact into an argument by giving a position. That's what you also want to double check for when you're working on your thesis statement. And exercise 2, rewrite the following fact as an argument in the parentheses provided. So again, copy and paste this answer. You can use it for a DLA later. The fact is that 50% of American marriages end in divorce. 50% of American marriages end in divorce. How can you turn that into an argument? So you can talk about how this is a reoccurring issue, how it's getting worse, or maybe it's getting better. Yeah, look up some facts, look up, and you can use facts to make your position, whether it's something's a good thing or a bad thing. Okay, so go ahead, save your answer for later. Purpose. A thesis should give the writer's purpose. The purpose explains why the position is significant. A position without purpose is trivial. And this is the final third part of the thesis statement, and then this part's kind of over. Examples. So trivial. The Honda Civic and the Toyota Corolla are both mechanically reliable. Okay, we all kind of know that. They're like the most reliable cars. But why is it significant? Why, so when you're writing out your thesis statement and you don't have a why, you need to make sure you make it significant. What about these two things? Why is this important? So in the significant line here below, although the Honda Civic and Toyota Corolla are both mechanically reliable, the Civic is the better choice for consumers who value comfort and convenience over cost. So here they're arguing that the Civic is more comfortable, and it's more convenient. So that's their argument. That's their purpose, right? The second example, although some ranchers consider wolves to be pests that should be exterminated, they are an essential part of the prairie ecosystem. So it kind of sounds like a fact, right? But how do we make this significant and how do we give it purpose? Although some ranchers consider wolves to be pests that should be exterminated, they are an essential part of the prairie ecosystem since they preserve the vegetation that native animals as well as livestock depend on. So we have some more context behind the wolves and why they're important, why they're needed, and it ultimately gives the statement some purpose. Okay. And exercise 3, rewrite the following trivial statement as a significant statement in the parentheses provided. Trivial. The traffic on California highways is getting worse each year. Okay, so significant. So you always want to think okay, so what? Imagine someone's telling you, so what? What else are you going to add to this argument to make it significant? The traffic on California highways is getting worse each year, thus creating more accidents or collisions, raising the cause of death. I don't know, whatever else information that is critical to know that makes this statement have a bigger purpose. And you really want to show your reader, this is why my topic is important. This is why you need to know this. This is why you need to read this essay. Okay. So go ahead and copy your answers down, save them for later. And for those of you in my English 1A class with Professor Ramos, I'm going to quickly go over a little jump start on how to start your thesis statement in case you haven't. So if you've been attending his classes, you know that he's been asking for you to pick a topic. Pick a topic or theme that you're interested, passionate about. Again, when we write things that we're passionate or interested in, we tend to do really good on it and we enjoy writing it. So pick some topics or themes that are going to be relative to you and are going to spark some interest. These are some of the examples that he gave on his website, which I'll also link below if you want to see that. But themes and topics that you can write on the Book of Unknown Americans: immigration, the American dream, Alma's guilt, Maribel's brain injury and her getting better, parenting over protecting kids, immigration and prejudice, refugees, unstable governments, self-segregation, patriarchy, bullying, sexual assault, low-paying jobs, taking advantage of immigrants, and language barriers. If you come up with any other theme or topic that is not in this list, that's perfectly fine, um, as long as that it's a theme or a topic in the book and you can relate to it and make a really nice essay out of it. Great. So number one, pick a topic. Then argue a position. What is your position on the topic you chose, and how will you argue it in your essay? So always make sure, again, like in our activity earlier, have a position. Make sure you pick a side and give it a purpose. Why is your topic and position important? What do you want the reader to get out of it? So this is the so what. Why should we know about, I don't know, say if you chose sexual assault and you're against it because X, Y, and Z. Why is it important for people to know this? Why is it important for people to know this information? Is it getting worse every year? Is it increasing? Is it decreasing? Is it getting better? Is awareness starting to come in and really change the way we treat sexual assault in society? Give it some purpose. Give some context of why it's good or bad, or if it's getting better or worse. Okay, and lastly, complete a DLA on thesis statements. If you answered exercises 1, 2, and 3, use your answers from this YouTube video to complete your DLA, which I'll also link, so you can go ahead and do that. And that's pretty much all I have for today. Thank you for watching. Comment below and subscribe to our channel.